Paper 1 revision. Alright. Question paper, paper 1, is going to have two sections, A and B. Okay. Section A is on algebra techniques, and in that section there'll be two short answer questions worth 20 marks in total, so 10 each. Yeah. And then two longer answer questions worth 30 marks. That's 15 marks each. So that'll be the kind of application to engineering questions. Then section B will be on complex numbers, and again, two short answer questions worth 20 marks in total, and two longer answer questions worth 30 marks in total. So I think that makes 50 marks in each section, and 100 marks in total for the paper. You've got to achieve 40% in each section. Regardless of what you get overall, you've got to get at least 40 in each section to pass the paper. Okay, and then your overall mark across those 2 marks will give you your grade, your overall grade. If you achieve under 40% in one section only, you would then, in February half term, reset just that half of the paper. So you'd only do, if you passed section A but didn't pass section B, you'd do a reset just on that section, because the last thing we want is for you to flip over and pass the one you didn't pass and fail the one you did pass. Okay, you would then only sit that exam, that reset exam, for 1 hour only instead of 2 hours. So you'd only do the full 2 hours on the reset if you had to do the whole paper. Okay, so exam duration is 2 hours. My suggestion is allow approximately 1 minute per mark, so that's 100 minutes. That leave you kind of 20 minutes. Read the whole paper up front and understand what everything you've got to do, and a little bit of time for checking at the end. Okay, you may answer the questions in any order, and that's why I think it's a good idea just to have a good look at the whole paper first and get some marks on the board. Do the ones that you're confident in first, okay, and leave the ones you're less confident in till last. Okay, there isn't any choice on the paper. You're just required to attempt as best as you can all questions. I've got a practice paper for you that I will issue at the end of today's session, and then what I'm going to do is put the worked solutions to that practice paper up on Learn with a date available in a week or two's time, so that'll give you a chance to have a go at them questions before you got the answers. Okay? What we're going to do today is spend the first session doing some typical algebra questions as revision, and then the second session we'll do complex number revision. I'll only issue that paper. I want to try not to spend too much time next week answering questions about that paper and wasting the time we need to revise the paper 2 stuff, which is the differential integral calculus. So if that goes okay this week, the way I'm doing it, we'll do a similar thing next week for the other paper. Okay. What I'm planning to do here is do a question at a time, give the amount of time a minute a mark, like we're suggesting for the exam. You get an idea of how well you're doing with getting those questions answered within that time. Okay. These questions are typical of the type of thing you might get in the exam. Okay, so let's see how that goes. If you're not liking it, if we're not revising the right things, then please say so. We'll try and do something different. It's your revision time. I'm not going to be working through answers. I'm going to be putting the answers up after the 10 minutes or 15 minutes and going through where the marks are for you to get an idea how well you're done. All right? If there are any questions about why did I get this wrong, yes, I'll deal with them. But in general, that's how well are we doing on these questions. So the first one is algebra short answer practice 1. Factorize those expressions. Okay? So we're starting that. So let's have a look at the answers and how this would be marked. Right, first one factorised is I've taken 6x squared outside the brackets, and then inside the brackets 1 plus 3x. So if you've done that, 2 marks. If you've only taken 6 out, or you've only taken x squared outside the bracket, then 1 mark. Okay? Second one, 5a outside the bracket with b minus 3c inside. 2 marks for that. Again, 1 mark only if you've done 5 or just a outside the bracket. No, well, not really, no. You wouldn't get anything for that. No. Because you aren't the idea with factorising is you've taken what's common to both parts of the expression outside a set of brackets. 6x. I'll give you. I really think that's just 1 mark. All right. I might give you half a mark just for getting A outside, but it's a bit of a confusion thing to do, Lewis. All right. All right. Yes. That's the same thing. Just by convention, you don't put the 1 in front of it, but you'd get all the marks for that. Okay. Any other combinations before we move on? Third one, 3y outside the bracket, 2x plus 4z minus 1 inside. Again, 1 mark if you only take out the common factor of 3 or the common factor of y. Dom. 3xy.
Yeah, which is 3xy is common in both.
No.
Yeah,
where's the x in the minus 3y?
Oh,
Well, on C here.
I'm looking at D, sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, a 3. We're on that one. All right. So that's 2 marks if you got that.
Yeah, got that right.
1 mark if you've only taken 3 out of it, or you've only taken y out. Okay, that's no problem. On the on D, okay, there are 2 things you could do because there are 2 variables in there, and you could factorise either of them. Okay, so 2 marks if you've factorised 3x outside and got x squared y squared plus 3y squared in the brackets. Or 2 marks if you've factorised y outside the brackets.
No. I said I've got 3xy outside the bracket.
And then the last one, 7x outside the brackets. Again, I think there's an argument for 7xy. You could have 7xy as well. So 2 marks for either of those. Okay. If you only had 7 or x or y, I'd just give 1 mark. Okay. And then we can factorise 7y. And again, you could include x in that as well. So the ultimate answer is 7xy outside. Okay. I'm kind of looking there to give 2 marks if you notice that one of the variables and a constant can be taken outside the brackets. All right? So, that's that question. Any other questions about that question before we move on? How do we do? Anyone get 10? Yeah? 9? 8? 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1? None. Didn't have a time to do it, Daniel, did you? Jake, sorry. Sorry, Jake. That always happens to me in a class. I always get a name muddled up. Sorry. Right. Next one. Next one is algebra short answer question 2. Okay. Solve the following pair of simultaneous equations using the substitution method. Solve the following pair of simultaneous equations using the elimination method. We are starting at 9:28, so we'll finish at 9:38. Looking at the answers to this now, here I've gone one way. There are arguably two ways that you could do this by substitution method. I've chosen to rearrange equation 2 for y. You could rearrange equation 1, right? But in this case, the reason I've done that one is because y is on its own. It's got no number in front of it, so it just makes it the easiest one to pick. So if you've chosen equation 1, but ended up with the same answer in the end, you'll get the same marks going along. So I've rearranged equation 2 for y. Alright, so I've got y is equal to 13 minus 2x. So all I've done is taken 2x from both sides and ended up with that. 1 mark on that. Okay. Second part is I've substituted that new equation 3 into equation 1 for y. So I've written 4x and then I've written 3 times and put the equation 3 in brackets and said that's equal to 33. Multiplied out those brackets and ended up with minus 2x is equal to minus 6, and therefore x is equal to 2. 2 marks for all that. X is equal to 3. So can't even read my own writing. X is equal to 3. 2 marks. No. Don't bring that up. I ain't got over last week yet. Right. And the last bit is just simple. Plug x is equal to 3 into either of the other 2 equations, and then rearrange and solve that. You should have y is equal to 7. 1 mark for that. I can't even bloody count, can I? 1 mark, 2 marks, 2 marks. Okay? So you might have rearranged the other equation, you might have substituted in a slightly different order, but there's marks for each of those pieces of work and the final answers. Okay? So in this bit here, if your method up to a point is correct, but you get your calculation wrong, end up with the wrong final answer, you could get 1 mark. Alright? But there's 2 marks for getting those values of x and y in that situation. Okay? The second part of the question, part B, solve the following simultaneous equations using the elimination method. The first thing to do is we need to get these 2 equations so they're in the same order. We want, that one looks nice, 6a, 3b minus 3, so we get this one into the same order, equation 2 into the same order, by multiplying, by getting the constant over on the right hand side and the minus 5b. So I've added 5b to take 17 from both sides. I got that in there's that one. 1 mark. Equation 1 by 2 in equation 3 by 3. In doing that, we've ended up with the coefficient of a being, you could do a bit, what? Yeah. And you didn't do anything with the other one, so you ended up with 6a. That's not a problem. It doesn't matter really, Dom, whether you do it like that. Okay. If you can't see a common factor, you would just multiply the top one by 4, and you'd end up with that. Okay. Doesn't really matter. All the aim is that you get either the coefficient of A or the coefficient of B exactly the same. Yeah. That way, so there's 2 marks for doing that. And then what you then do, subtract all the new equations, and I've chosen to do subtracting 4 from 5 because the coefficient of B in 5 is bigger. So you end up positive. You don't have to do it that way. So I'm taking this one away from that one, ending up with 9b, 0 as 9b minus 45. Rearranging all of that, end up eventually. For substituting b equals 5 back into one of those equations, just choose what's the easiest and ended up with a is equal to 2. I'll mark for that. Okay? So that's a typical question you could get on the algebra around simultaneous equations. What's the other method? Too simple. Fact. Okay. Not to do that. We practice that. You might get it. Okay. We might get it, Tom. Right. Just one long answer. For and data. Are you listening, guys? 4-part equation to make E the subject, 2 marks. Form 2 simultaneous equations. Data, so plug the data into that equation twice. Use a suitable method, so this time it's open. You can use substitution, you can use elimination, you can use factorization if it'll factorize. Suitable solve the equations, and then you'll end up with you'll find A and B, therefore you'll be able to use that equation to answer the 2 bottom. Around about 15 minutes for 9.7, we're looking at 10.02 for that question. Answers. So, first part A, rearrange the equation to make E the subject. So, first of all, multiply both sides by A, and then add B to both sides. So you should end up with E is equal to A, W plus B. 2 marks. Should be a reasonably easy 2 marks if you are familiar with rearranging equations. Second part, form 2 simultaneous equations using that formula. So I've written it up the top there, using the data. So first one, substitute 70 for W, second and 45 for E. And the second equation, 120 for W and 53 for E, 2 marks. Give them marks away. then use any method. So I've happened to use subtracting 1 from 2. The coefficient of b is already the same, so you've got to not multiply anything by anything here. We can eliminate b, simply subtracting equation 1 from equation 2. End up with 8a, 8 is equal to 50a, a is 0.16. Okay? And then substitute 0.16 into 1. So you can put that back into either equation. Doesn't matter which one you use. Okay? And manipulate that and end up with b is equal to 33.8. So that the overall formula for E is 0.16W plus 33.8. 6 marks for all of that, so 3 marks for each half. Okay? How many marks is that altogether so far? 10. Bit is to use that formula twice. So your E is 0.16W plus 33.8 to find the value of effort needed to lift a load of 85 newtons. So just substitute 85 in for W in the equation, come up with 47.4 newtons, 2 marks. And then the last bit, because it requires you to given E, and we want to find W. Substitute that value into the equation, rearrange it, and end up with W is equal to 163. 3 marks for that. Okay. How do you find that question? Pretty good?
Well, really hard.
Well, you never know. You might get something similar to that in the exam. You never know. All right. Right. We've just about got 15 minutes left, and then we'll go through this one after the break. I can in a minute. Let's get everyone else. I'll answer example 2. So you've been given a current in standard form, I prime t 16 cos r, angle in time when the current is first at half peak value. Okay, so have a good